and we're lacking in patience because it's our fault. Honestly, we can talk about it's the culture, it's this and that. Yeah, but we're participants. It's just as much as my fault as it is the culture's fault. That algorithm is something. The interface of YouTube, the interface of social media, it's something, man. That roulette, it really has a fantastic effect upon the human mind. There's clearly something in us that's highly receptive to newness of information. Even if the newness of that information is complete nonsense, we are highly receptive to it. This is where it all has to begin. We have to admit this. We have to admit that we can't have this hybridization. We can't have the kind of clarity we'd like, have the kind of wisdom we'd like, have the kind of energy and effort and quality of life we'd like while being worldly. Worldly in this day and age is just going with the flow of modern day humanity, which is to say, just mindlessly having no kind of framework in place where we prevent ourselves from texting nonsense, from talking nonsense, from thinking nonsense, from engaging in nonsense, from consuming nonsense. It's all nonsense, or too much of it is nonsense. We have normalized nonsense. We have normalized nonsense. And there's a lot of people that rise above this and are not tapping into it, that live disciplined lives and whatnot. But I refer to myself, I'm a struggler. I struggle. And I say that with a smile because I have no choice but to do something about it. I have absolutely no choice. Were I to just be resigned to my struggle, my quality of life would be awful. I'd be super unstable inside of myself. And so this is why I'm constantly talking about what I'm talking about, because you want a better quality of life. I have great news for you. Seek wisdom with your everything. Understand that your mind and your body and even your soul is all beholden to physics. And the laws of physics is not something that human beings created. It's something that's there whether human beings comment on it or not. Laws are descriptions of what's happening. It has nothing to do with this is the law of nature because human beings said so. It's like what will happen no matter what we say. That's the law. And that's how we can. That's why we have all the advancements in the technology that we have. Mother effers ain't out here just relying on magic. It all is relying on cause and effect. And we are also the same. We are creatures of cause and effect. We are highly conditional, highly conditional, highly conditional. The greatest clarity and wisdom I ever have is when I get into my mind really has this attentiveness to the truth that it's all physics. And people look at such a proclamation as diminishing or marginalizing the beauty and the magic of life. But like, what are you talking about? The simplest thing, grass is amazing. I'm learning more about St. Augustine grass. It's amazing the stolons that sprout from it, that sprout these nodes and how it potentially can strangle other weeds and stuff. But it's just nature, even if there was no drama or theater happening. Look at all the different dang on birds around here and the insects and how some contributors, some are harmful. I see how someone could be a damn bird watcher. I totally get it now. If you are in a particularly kind of receptive place in your humanity, damn near everything is amazing. But we're so overly polluted. We're in such information overload in conjunction with so culture obsessed. By culture, I mean, keep up with the Joneses. I mean, having to be up on the newest trends. I mean, paying attention to what everybody else is doing, even when it's just purely negative and you're just like hate watching it. This none of this is of any service to us. And it makes our complaining invalid in a sense. It's like, okay, you complaining, yet you're still so materialistic, yet you're still so worldly, yet you're still thinking in such shallow, superficial terms. Race still matters to you so much. Appearance still matters to you so much. Instead of a person's humanity, instead of a person's mentality. I understand you got Asian culture, Indian culture, European culture, white culture, black culture, this. I don't relate to anybody except people of a similar mentality. I am a one drop rule black man, yet I'm not thinking about my quote unquote blackness. I'm not thinking about my quote unquote manness. I'm constantly obsessed with my humanity. That's what I am. Before I'm anything else, I'm a damn human. And that's not, I feel sorry for people who are prisoners of their race and gender. I'm not saying the legacy of your culture's history, of your particular race's history and your ancestors. I'm not saying forget it. I'm not saying let's not talk about it. I'm not saying there's not something to internalize in a positive way. I'm saying if we got like, where do we want to go as a species, man? Historically, it makes all the sense in the world to me. Everything that happened with regards to like the nature of human beings and the oppression and trial and error and the fight for this and that and that. This. Okay, but look, where we are now is distinctly different from at any moment in history, but we're still the same people as we were throughout history. It's just a different kind of context. But what sucks is if we aren't consciously, collectively interested in transforming who we are as human beings at the level of belief, at the level of a value system, of course we're going to devolve and regress. But I'm seeing people do that all the time. I see some awesome people, man, still prisoners of superficiality constantly. I see awesome people still prisoners of shallow, surface level ways of thinking, man. And it makes them super unfulfilled. It unfulfills the crap out of them. They are deeply, deeply unhappy because they're so damn worldly and they just can't endure the pain of shedding that worldly obsession. And then as a result, there's this tug of war. I believe a mentality should be our focus. I believe a philosophy, a perspective should be our focus. I believe a transcendence should be our focus. And the irony of it all is that people claim they believe in a cosmic force. You believe in a cosmic force, but we're still over here talking about the color of each other's skin. It's ridiculous. It's silly. It's completely silly that we are not connecting at a base fundamental level of we all want security, we all want shelter, we all want food and water, and we all want opportunity. But we can't, but like everyday people, because we want to talk about the elites and everything, you and I as everyday people, why can't we collectively come together and engage in the appropriate actions and execute the actions necessary to make this kind of harmony and togetherness happen? Why? Because we as human beings are just so crazy fallible. It's absurd how fallible we are, but because we don't talk about how fallible we are, we're constantly getting bested by it. Were I to not constantly be honest about my inclination towards a kind of pathological behavior, like the addict within me, as an oversimplification. I'm susceptible to addiction. I'm so grateful for the fact that I constantly admit it, because at my worst, when I'm in these moments where I'm just like, oh, and it's just, I'm actually relieved because I'll be on this momentum of awesomeness. And then I'll have my bad day where but that bad day I'll be like, oh, right. I lived like this for like the first like 30 years of my life. I forgot. Cause I have it's like, I call it, it's an energy signature. It's like it's like a memory, energetic memory. You can call it quote unquote chemical memory, but it's just, I'm like, there's these states of being that I get in that are like really awful, but I felt it throughout my life and I never thought anything of it because it's all about the relativity. I didn't realize how awful I felt until I began to feel way, way, way better. And then so now, like every now and then when I fall into that awfulness, I'm like, oh, right. This used to be my default. This was my norm. This is nothing new. This is how I used to feel for years. You know, and so that's why it's dope because it makes me feel grateful because I know that it's temporary and I know that all I need to do is engage in the necessary actions and behaviors and choices and decisions to bring me back to that goodness. Whereas before, that badness would lead me to like unravel. It'd be like I would spiral. But that's the power of admitting something. That's the power of coming to terms with certain inclinations within yourself. And it doesn't have to have anything to do with people. I just really don't understand why people don't see the beauty in admitting these things about yourself. People always, even when you're by yourself, I'm talking about the average person. I noticed this when I was first developing and first entering into my mind at an intimate level. We got this thing where we think in relation to everybody else constantly. Like even when you're by yourself in your own mind, you're still conceptualizing and perceiving as a prisoner of a social context. But you got to really get into a state of mind, at least intermittently, where it's as if you're the only one that exists and not the only one that exists for any other reason than to really bring your undivided attention to your internal environment for meditative reasons, for rejuvenative reasons, for reasons of emotional, psychological disentanglement. Oh, man, this should be the topic that we're all talking about constantly. And let people tell it. People are so unhappy, so dissatisfied, so unfulfilled. Well, the world ain't going to solve it for you. The world ain't going to give it to you. Somebody loving you ain't even going to solve it for you. Somebody loving you will be a supplement. That'd be very helpful, but it's not going to solve anything. It's not going to be the solution. You got to put the work in, man. Nature puts the work in. Even little bugs, little insects are working all day. What are we talking about? Like, so because you as a human being have to put work into this, like, what are you talking about? We got the damn, we talk to each other through our damn phone. We gotta see, there is a lot to complain about, but we got to adopt a more positive mindset, not for complacency, but for inspiration, because we could all have it better. There is still opportunity. It does seem like we're incrementally going to a place of no return. But what are we doing about it? What is the collective spirit? A piece of evidence I do see is with people now getting on the James Talrico train. And what James Talrico brings more than anything is that message that Jesus brought, which is love your neighbor as yourself. And honestly, as cynical and pessimistic as people are, that is what we need. We do need to love your neighbor as yourself. Yes, divvy out consequences to the people that want to be pathological and hurt people. But for those of us that have no desire to hurt each other, for those of us that just want to live a good life, we need to practice patience. We need to practice kindness. We need to practice love. We need to practice togetherness and harmony. We have to, man. Like, what do you expect? Don't stop complaining if you're not participating. I'm a part of the problem. And that's the only way I cannot be a part of the problem, is by constantly admitting that I'm a part of the problem. So if you don't see your part, then this is all going to unravel. And we have to adopt a better mentality, one that transcends our nonsense.